Yeah. We want to build actually a database for our members and the Bangladeshi community, but it's hard to get the data. We'll probably start searching for it.
Oh yeah, very, very hard. It's very hard. Yeah. So generally, it's for Bangladesh community, they jump in the Zoom is on time, it's all maybe 10 minutes late. So it's our Chinese is always 5 minutes, 10 minutes late.
Oh, I see. Yeah, good point. Internet. Okay. Yeah, no, good point. Usually within 5 minutes, I would say, but you are right. Some are late too. But hopefully they'll be on time this time. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. The only we don't talk too much service because it's the
okay.
It's YouTube already, so it's the hello Toni.
Hi.
Oh, okay.
She's your friend, right?
No.
Hello.
Hi, so is Andrew Yang supposed to be here tonight?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Some people forget the link already, and I have to remind them.
Hello, Lubaba.
Hi.
Hi. We'll start at 7. Thank you for joining.
So Lubaba, it's your team, right? From your team.
Yes.
Yeah, right. From Bangladeshi.
Hi, Don.
Hi, Ray. Nice to see you. Hi, Alice. We are free to chat, to know each other now until the meeting started. We're going to mute it all.
Nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet you. So people have no problem to log in, right?
None at all.
Good. That's good. Every time it's the people, sometimes it's the people have a complaint, say they don't have a chance to log in.
Hi, Biplab.
Hi, Hannah. Nice to see you again.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Edie.
Hi, Don.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Hi, Edie.
Hey, Aiding, good
How
to
are
see
you?
your face.
Good to see you, Charger.
Hey, Tiju.
Hey, Xiaobin, nice to see you. Show your face, Xiaobin.
Taking work outside.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I mute myself.
Hi, Ryan.
Hello. How are you?
Hi.
You have a long debate today, huh?
Candidates forum, not quite a debate, but somebody did try
Yeah.
to debate me.
That's right.
On community service, and there was a little debate there.
But
Community benefit, yeah.
one candidate is pretty funny, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty distracting. We don't know what to do, but we just try not to say anything and let the league handles her. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Hi there, everyone. Hi, E.
Hello.
Hey, Hanwei, this is Yan. What debate is today?
No, it's not a debate. It's Cupertino City Council's Candidates Forum, hosted by the League of Women Voters of Cupertino, Sunnyvale.
Oh,
So
I
it's more of
missed
a
that.
question answer. Yeah, there'll be two city candidates forum if you're interested. Yeah, the chamber's doing one on early October, and the league is doing another one mid-October.
Wow, why are they doing second one?
Oh, I
Only
guess
the-
this is more like Cupertino Rotary and the chamber is doing one, so we get to all the Rotary friends, and we try to email as many people as we could. But some people cannot make noon time. This is noon to 1:30. So for people who work, so there's going to be one in the evening. Actually, both of them will be in the evening.
okay.
The chamber would be
Let's,
on October 7th.
I think we're about to start, and I think we're on YouTube. So
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, huh?
Hey, Jack, go. Jack,
Hey, Don.
nice to see you.
Nice to see you. 还早吧？
Almost there.
啊，
对，我
Let me see if Andrew is here or not. Hey, Evan.
I'm here, Don. Can you see me?
Oh, you're there already. Sorry, I didn't see your face. Daniel, could you help me to put the Andrew's mic and also the Evans? They both there. So I think that we don't need to wait for the most people here, and as long as the Andrew and Evan is here, and also Shahidu is here, so it's Shahidu. Shall we start it?
Yeah, I think we can get started. I see most of the folks are here, and we are also streaming on YouTube and our page.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just give us a very brief introduction. And this is API monthly meeting for the Humanity Forward. Every month we host one meeting with Andrew Yan and pick up some topic API community cared. So today it's a little bit different. And I used to, with my outreach, mostly it's Chinese American. But today we are very fortunate to have a Bangladesh community to join us and also I asked them to help us to moderate the meeting. The subject today is continue going to be the API leadership pipeline, how we build it and the network. The second is probably about Proposition 24. Andrew Yang is as the chair for the advisory board for the California, this Proposition 24. And today's moderator is Shahidul Manan. He's an AI expert and also in the healthcare industry. So he's the president for the Bangladesh community, the leadership. So before that one, I truly appreciate the long-time supporter for the API Leadership Club, like Jack Gao, the KD Yu, Alex Wang, Teresa, Ken Fang, Daniel Yao, and all these people. Thank you for your continued monthly contribution to the club. Without further ado, I'm going to turn the mic to the Shahidul Manan, and all the show is yours. Just make sure you run the program successfully. Make sure everyone's happy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Don. And just to clarify, our Bangladeshi community group is a new one, and we have about 10, 15 that we came together to form it. So we are all equally leader of this community platform. So hello and good evening. I am Shahidul Manan, representing our group, Bangladeshi Americans for Biden-Harris, and moderating this event tonight. Welcome to API Leadership Meeting and GeoTV with Andrew Yang, which we are promoting through our group. Former presidential candidate and founder of Humanity Forward. We also have with us Evan Lau, State Assemblyman from California, and Dr. Nina Ahmad, candidate for Auditor General in the state of Pennsylvania. We are co-hosting with Humanity Forward Foundation, as Don mentioned, and special thanks to Don's son for inviting us to partner in this event. Viewers, we will have an exciting night with all the great speakers, and thank you for joining. First, I wanted to give a little intro to our group. We are a group of 3,100 Bangladeshi Americans and counting. We are dedicated to support and work together to elect Biden-Harris and help the blue wave in November. At the same time, our platform is focused on educating our community about voting process, encouraging to actively participate in our democratic process to promote social justice and economic prosperity. Thomas Jefferson once said, "A nation as a society forms a moral person, and every member of it is personally responsible for his society." Hence, here we are, standing up to do our part in this great nation. Most of our members are first-time immigrants who came from Bangladesh to explore the American dream. Bangladesh is a tiny 50 years young country in South Asia, born through a war of independence that cost us 3 million lives. Most of us grew up in a war-torn country, initially watching military regime and dictatorship, and fought against these as we grew up. That's why we highly value and have deep respect for democracy and liberty, and we never take these for granted. We know we are privileged to be here today because of the sacrifice by millions of lives lost in this journey of Bangladesh, and 200 years of Black Americans, women's rights, LGBTQ movements, all that led to civil rights and immigration laws, therefore America opening the arms to us. We want to make sure the great American journey with all these values continues for us, our communities, all Americans, and generations to come. Our goal is to participate, engage, and get a seat at the table to get our voices together. Now, without further ado, I would like to present Andrew Yang as today's key speaker. Andrew Yang probably doesn't need an introduction, but I'll provide some background for the whole audience anyways. Is an entrepreneur, author, philanthropist, and former 2020 presidential candidate. Andrew became a top-tier contender for the presidency, raising nearly $40 million in grassroots funding. Andrew became one of the most exciting stories in the 2020 race, changing the national conversation to a point where nearly 75% of Americans support his proposed universal basic income, according to MSNBC. Andrew's nationwide support, known as the Yang Gang, propelled him to 7 Democratic primary debates, outlasting many other prominent leaders. Andrew then founded Humanity Forward to realize the vision and ideas of his presidential campaign. His goal is to foster a human-centered America. Thank you, Andrew, for being with us today. Andrew Yang.
Thank you, Shahidul. Such a warm introduction. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it and love what your organization is about. Bangladeshi Americans for Biden-Harris. It's so vital, the work you're doing. I think I saw a statistic that turnout among Bangladeshi Americans is on the low side because you're new to American politics. And that's why your organization can become such an incredible catalyst, because if more Bangladeshi Americans realize that you can vote, you should vote. I think you should vote for a particular candidate or set of candidates. And it seems the vast majority of people agree in the Bangladeshi American community that Joe and Kamala would be a better bet for the White House for the next 4 years. We can win, and your organization is going to help make that possible. Every vote in a swing state in particular is worth its weight in gold. And I'm not 100% sure where Bangladeshi Americans are geographically distributed, but I'm sure that many of you are in swing states that we need to win. Others of you are in California, and I just want to give a quick shout out to some special people who were on the call who made Prop 24 a reality, or at least it's going to be on the ballot in November. So for those of you who don't know, Prop 24 is a proposal to strengthen Californians' data and privacy rights. It's going to create a new agency to actually hold companies accountable for what they do with your data. And this is important for democracy, because right now we and our data are getting sold and resold to the big tech companies. And at this point, we are now getting bombarded with these messages, and it's actually, in my mind, not good for our democratic processes that we have essentially become productized to this level. So if you're in California, yes to Prop 24, let's get our data rights back into our hands. When I was running for president, people would sometimes thank me from the Asian American community. And I would thank them and say with all sincerity, I think it's harder to run for local office than it is to run for president. Because if you run for local office like Nina is, or like Evan has done any number of times, it's so personal. Everyone knows who you are. A lot of people know where you live. If you don't show up to something in Pennsylvania or in California, then they actually give you a hard time about it. Whereas running for president, I could disappear for a day or two and someone would just assume I was someplace else. And so the theme of today is about trying to develop Asian American leaders. And I think that Evan and Nina are phenomenal role models. And I'd love to hear from Nina a little bit later about what her path was, because choosing to run for office is certainly a very, very big step. I know that I was something of an outlier and a newcomer to national politics, but my leadership experiences started way, way before that as an entrepreneur, well, as a student leader for one, and then as an entrepreneur whose businesses did not work out, and then as the CEO of a business that did quite well, and then as the founder and CEO of a nonprofit. So these things all built up over a multi-year period or even a multi-decade period before I decided to run for president. And I would be the first to say that no one in the Yang family thought that there was a presidential candidate like around the dinner table. You know, there certainly wasn't some grand plan. It wasn't that, oh, you know, we're going to hatch this run in 2020. It was that I saw that our country needed something different, and I thought that I could contribute that. I think that's what animates people like Nina and Evan to run. And I think that's the kind of thing we need to help Bangladeshi Americans around the country feel for themselves, that though you may be relatively new to this country, this is your country, And this country needs you. It needs you to get out and vote, participate, engage in civic life, to lead in different ways, big and small. And then at some point, if the impulse moves you and you do decide to run for office, as Evan and Nina have, then we need to support you. We have to get behind you, because the fact is, at this point, and if an Asian American runs for local office, they're still going against the grain. They're still facing an uphill climb where they have to convince people in our community that it's a good idea, that it's necessary, that it's important. And if you're here today, then you're already further down that path. But we have a lot of work to do to get more Asian Americans activated in public life, political life, civic engagement. And it can take many, many forms. Certainly, again, we'll hear from Nina, but I'm sure has done all sorts of things before she decided to run for auditor. I did a whole host of things. And that's what we have to encourage our young people to see, that there are stones across the river, and that it's not that you all of a sudden need to put yourself out there in a way that might make you daunted or uncomfortable, but you can vote, you can volunteer, you can support someone else who's running, you can pass out leaflets, you can post things to your friends on social media. And it starts in November. It starts with us letting people know that this election is crucial. We need to get everyone out to vote. And if we do get everyone out to vote, then we're going to win. And we'll have something to celebrate in 2021 when Joe and Kamala take office. And I dare say that they will know that the Asian American community and even the Bangladeshi American community were behind them and helped make it happen. So thank you all for being here tonight, for the support. Let's get people out. I got to say, voting, it's a bit of a painstaking process. So, I think the registration deadline is not that far away. So we have no time to spare. We got to let people know that they need to register, they get their absentee ballot, or they get their polling location, and to make sure they know to get their vote counted in November. Thank you all so much. And I think I'll pass it back to you, Shahidul. I think you're the MC, right? So I'm going to give it back to you.
Great.
I wasn't sure if I'm
Thank
giving
you,
it to
Andrew.
you or Evan.
Thank you
Where's
for
my
your
man,
inspiring
Evan?
words.
I was told Evan was going to be here. No, I was kidding. I'll give it back to you, Shahidul.
Thank you. Yeah, Evan is here too, I hope, because he's our next speaker. But thank you, Andrew, for your inspiring words. And certainly, as we've been discussing, we Bangladeshi Americans are apparently underdogs and new into these. And your passion to support the upcoming community is certainly much appreciated. And let's go register. Let's get out to vote. With that, our next guest speaker is Assembly Member Evan Lau from California. Most of the members probably know Evan very well, and I want to introduce for the Bangladeshi community a little more. Evan Lau was elected to the California State Assembly in November 2014 to represent District 28. At the age of 31, Assemblymember Lau became the youngest Asian American legislator to have been elected to the Assembly in state history. Assemblymember Lau chairs the Business and Professions Committee. Please welcome Assemblymember Evan Lau. Evan, take it away.
Hi, good to see all of you, and greetings from California and Silicon Valley. I hope the air is cleaner where you are. This is a reality that we're dealt with every single day. And it's important that we recognize science and climate change, that it is real. And for younger generations, it seems to be almost every year in which you're seeing reports of it saying, this is record temperatures, record wildfires. And it's like, well, I thought we heard that last year. Why does it seem to always be record, record, record? But you can see that the engagement that we have is critically important, not just with respect to climate change, but the things that Andrew was talking about. And why I'm so excited about ensuring that during this election time, we're all engaged, we're woke, we are participating, we are talking to each other. And that's frankly, kudos to Andrew, Donson, and so many with Humanity Forward to bringing us together. The power of convening is so important. It wasn't all that long ago where I found myself remembering when I first heard about an Andrew Yang saying, what? An Asian guy running for president? And I'm sure we've all been there, in which I was growing up and saw someone on a TV or a commercial, and I paused the TV and I said, oh my God, is that an Asian? Like, who is that person? But it just goes to show about representation is meaningful. It is not just about empty tokenism, but there's value to it, to say that we can see someone to the highest office in the land to be a viable candidate for office and to represent our community well with a deep sense of pride, which is incredibly important. And so kudos, Andrew. You're also here first off too, that Andrew, just because the presidential campaign was paused, your work still continues in different state houses in the country. And that's why we introduced in the state of California, Assembly Bill 2712, which is universal basic income in the state of California, the first legislative proposal in the country to do so. But it's not the last. And you've seen multiple iterations to which you're also active in getting mayors to do similar proposals on basic income in their areas of jurisdiction. And so while we introduced that, I saw in the chat box an inquiry as to the status of that. Because of the COVID pandemic, we had to taper down some of our ambitions because of the $52 billion deficit in the state of California. So we will be introducing it again next year, but you should also know to our fellow Yang Gang that we'll also explore democracy dollars. And if you aren't looking at it, a shout out to the podcast that on Yang Speaks. If you are like me and I have 2-hour drives each week back and forth to the state capitol, to my district in Silicon Valley, I have some time to kill. And so in addition to me stopping off at McDonald's and finding some fast food and filling up and singing to my heart's delight, I'll find myself listening to Yang Speak. So an additional plug to that. But before I finish, I just want to also reference and make recognition to the other amazing public officials who are also on this call, to the Bangladesh community and to Don Sun, Andrew Yang, and to Humanity Forward. Know that there are a number of other statewide elected officials, from state houses to local offices, to which we have a good social networking group of fellow AAPI elected officials and candidates and commissioners, so that when the time comes for us to make sure that we wake up from this nightmare, the presidential administration will have a wide portfolio of people to choose from, to tapping into the tapestry of talent within our AAPI community for appointments and key positions all out the federal government. And that's what's critically important. And so I hope that we'll continue to advance and talk to each other and build camaraderie so that we can build off of this, not just during an election cycle, but continue on. And also answering that question as to what is the voice of the Asian Pacific Islanders in the United States? What do we care about? What is the voice of Asian Pacific Islanders with respect to Black Lives Matter, to respect to environmental justice, to the housing crisis, to climate change? And how do we invest in young people? And that's why you referenced earlier that, yes, I did make history as the youngest Asian American to be elected in the state legislature, but I'm not the last. And I'm excited for who's also on this call, Alex Lee, who will be in November a surefire bet to be the next youngest elected official at the age of 25 as the next state assembly member, also representing Silicon Valley, just bordering me. And he is someone of deep passion as well. So I hope we'll all be encouraged by that. Or like someone who I see, Mason Honda, who is on this call, who is an original Yang Gang, but his father is a well-known reporter here in the Bay Area. And I said that earlier, when you see a face who looks like you, who speaks with a sense of pride, it's a sense of deep ownership of something that we can relish in. So Mason, and to all these other young people, you're not the future, you're the present. You can see from Andrew, not everyone is born and raised to be a politician. You could just run for president like Andrew and be involved in your own way. So I'm excited for the dialogue that we have and the camaraderie.
Rashida?
Shahidul, I think it's you. Wow, is Alex here? I want to hear from Alex. I can't believe there's a new youngest person in town, Evan. I thought you would hold that title forever.
Andrew, I'm getting old. It's like, you know, I thought I was young by saying I'm the millennial, this and this, and people were like, you're old, we're Gen Z. I'm like, okay, well, let's pass the baton.
It is wild when millennial no longer equals young. But I see Alex. I don't know if I'm not sure if I have the tech power tonight, Alex.
Alex,
sure.
you just unmute yourself. Alex.
Yeah.
Alex.
Well, thank you for taking interest. I mean, I didn't prepare to say anything, but I actually got my start interning for Evan in the Capitol in 2016. And I am an older Gen Z, but that's how I identify. And, I'm going to be luckily taking the mantle from Evan as being the youngest API legislator in California. But, it really does matter, like what Evan's talking about, but having that representation, knowing that it's possible. For a young introverted Asian person, you're like, how do you do any of this stuff? How is this possible? And then you work for some members. And I did also work for Evan as well later on after interning. And then you realize it's very possible, right? And it's so true that we need representation because it's that lived experience that's so important, and I have a district that's right next to Evan, so it's pretty cool. Hopefully we can commute together or something. But like my district is one of the only API plurality districts in California, and having that lived experience of knowing the culture and knowing the people in the district is so important, right? Because then it's like, well, how will my community feel about this, or how does it affect our community? I don't have to ask anyone. Well, I mean, I should ask people, right? But I don't have to ask too far because I know I grew up this way too, so it's important. But thank you, everyone, for putting this on and spotlighting me for a second. Cool.
Congrats, Alex. Is it a sure thing that you're going to win, or do we have to send you stuff?
Well, I would love for people to send me stuff because Friday is Evan and I's fundraising deadline. It'd be amazing. But my seat is a Democrat seat, and I'm running against Republican, so it's a lot easier.
Oh, you run for Republican. All right.
Yeah, running
Hey,
against.
Andrew, Alex's district, he represents where the Tesla headquarters is. So your buddy Elon, you guys should all connect and I'll have a good chat.
Hey, Evan, I have a question here because Tesla is a bunch of group, Chinese American group. They try to deceive you. They support cattle. The issue they have is that you support like processing something and support black people get repatriation, compensation for slavery, this kind of thing. They got mad. They even organized a call to deceive you.
Yes,
Let me interrupt you.
Perhaps, I know that perhaps, Don, I know I don't want to get off your program, so I know you have a moderator so that we can be deliberative and productive on this conversation, but happy to answer that at the future time when it's appropriate.
All right.
Great. Thank you, Evan, and thanks, Alex. Sorry, I had some difficulty with my internet right on time. It kept saying internet unstable, so apologies for that. Our next speaker is our very own Bangladeshi American candidate for Auditor General in the state of Pennsylvania, Dr. Nina Ahmad. Dr. Nina Ahmad is running for Office of Pennsylvania Auditor General. If she wins, she will be the first person of color, a scientist, and immigrant to be elected for a statewide executive office. At only 21, Nina came to Pennsylvania from Bangladesh, working hard to put herself through school, University of Pennsylvania. She earned a PhD in chemistry and completed a medical fellowship at Thomas Jefferson University. Most recently, Nina served as a deputy mayor for public engagement under Mayor Kenney, where she was responsible for managing dynamic people, initiatives, and participated in the management of a $4 billion operating budget in public funds. Nina also proudly served President Barack Obama as a member of the National Advisory Commission on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, advising on key issues affecting the health, employment, and well-being of these communities. I welcome Nina Ahmad. Nina, take it away.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. First, in the presence of Andrew Yang, because he did transform that presidential platform for sure. As Evan just said, that representation matters, and this AAPI umbrella that we all embrace is critical that we understand. While there's, very many people from very many countries that make up that AAPI, we all take special pride when somebody with heritage from there gets up on the national stage and competes so well and brings brilliant ideas to the forefront. As a scientist, what you have said and done is very near and dear to my heart, not only about the universal basic income, but really about the privacy of your data. That's very critical to me as a biomedical scientist. And, as I've said always as a scientist, you don't do something just because you can, you have the ability to do eugenics if you wanted, right? That's what the Nazis tried to do. That doesn't mean we should do that. That's where government comes in. That's where we are this sort of the arbiter of what is public good for everyone. So I'm very, very happy to be on this call and introduce myself. Actually, I'm introducing myself to Bangladeshi Americans for Biden-Harris 2020 as well. I haven't really met anybody, but these ties that bind us are very strong. And I'm very grateful to be here. As Shahidul had said earlier, you know, we come from an experience of war. I lived through that as a child. And I always mention that in every space I go, because I did not get here alone. I stand on the shoulders of so many before me. From where I come from, where 3 million people died in 9 months and 200,000 women and girls were brutalized. That has made me be an advocate for women and marginalized communities since I was a child, because I knew our voices were silenced. And somebody said that, you know, having a seat at the table, if you don't have a seat at the table, you're on the menu as it goes. So it is critical that we fight. We have to fight. I come from fighting stock, that when you have something you care enough about, you put it out there and you make a run for it and you work as hard as you can. But the second piece is building solidarity. You know, having a platform that includes all kinds of people, because my hashtag was leave no one behind. And so when I built this you know, sort of this coalition of organized labor, of women, of communities of color, of immigrants, of young people, it was important that we all had these intersections that we all understood about each other and stood together. So when there's a Black Lives Matter issue, I understand those intersections and I am there to be of support and I'm there to be an ally and there to really understand, not only do I stand in the sacrifice of where I came from, I stand in the sacrifice of people here, particularly the African American community, which is why I could be the first Asian American to be in a Philadelphia cabinet, mayoral cabinet ever. And that was only 2016. So we have a lot of firsts, you know, Andrew was breaking barriers, Evan has been breaking barriers. I will be, as a Democratic nominee, in a 6-way race where we had 2 white men, a white woman, 2 Black women, and myself, a brown immigrant from Asia. I really think Dr. Martin Luther King's words came true. People judged us on the content of our character, of our record, not on the color of our skin, and not where we came from or who we loved or what we did. So I'm very proud of Pennsylvania Democrats for making me the nominee. Now we have to win the race. I am running against a Republican opponent who does not even say he's a Republican. He doesn't put that on his literature. So I have a close race, it's a tight race. You know, my last name conjures up issues for people who don't understand what Islam is, right? So I have to combat that. I have to make sure people hear me and see me. Our polling shows that as soon as people hear my bio, I go up 6-10 points. So it is really getting in front of people. And in a pandemic, that is about getting on TV, unfortunately, which is hugely expensive. The Philadelphia media market is prohibitive. So, you know, Pennsylvania is a big state, 67 counties. We are a lot of mixture of rural and urban places. I come from Southeast Pennsylvania, which is the most vote-rich part of Pennsylvania, thankfully. And, but, you know, that doesn't mean I don't go everywhere. I just came from a Zoom call with Pike County, which just doesn't have a lot of people, doesn't have a lot of votes, but each one of their votes is equally important as my votes in Southeast Pennsylvania. So I am competing everywhere. I am taking my message everywhere, because this is not just about me. This is about opening a door, keeping it permanently open. So all of you who might choose to do this, or all of your children or their children who might choose to do this, have that option that they can be full participants in every part of this country. And that's the reason for me doing this. That's the reason I have 2 daughters. And they said to me when I was complaining in 2016 after that election, so what are you going to do, Mom? Because they were taught all their lives to be part of the solution if there was a problem. So here I am, the first Bangladeshi American Muslim scientist, advocate for women, all of those things. Many people on this call are all of those things as well. But I am determined we are going to fight for this seat, and we're going to turn Pennsylvania deep blue, because the path to the White House is through Pennsylvania. And we are determined to deliver those 20 electoral votes. So I'll stop here and take questions if you have any, but thanks again for this new organization to host me today.
Thank you, Dr. Nina. Amazing story, and for your inspiring words. Our support and best wishes for your election. We are there with you. We will now move to have some questions from our Bangladeshi community young activists. For our first question, I would request young Bangladeshi American activist and volunteer from Massachusetts, Zarmeen Hasan.
Hi, thank you so much for all of you to speak tonight. I really appreciate it. So I'm Zarmeen Hasan. I'm a junior at the University of Connecticut. And I had a question for Andrew Yang. And the question is, what is one piece of advice you would give young people like me regarding getting involved in our communities and just making change, whether it be something small or something, a bigger problem?
Hey, Zarmeen. Are you in person at UConn or virtual?
I am at UConn right now, but my classes are virtual, actually.
So what I advise people to do who are your age and stage is to find either a candidate or a nonprofit that you are excited about, and then try and volunteer and help them. And the single biggest thing you can do to develop that activism set of skills that I can sense that you're trying to develop is to reach out to your friends on behalf of the candidate or organization, which is a very hard thing to do. Because most people don't feel like bothering their friends with a cause or a candidate, and they're afraid that people will dislike it. So when you are able to take that step, it's a very big step, and it gives you a sense of which of your friends are aligned with that particular cause and not. And then hold up a goal for yourself. It's not enough just to put the Facebook post up and then, get a few likes and be like, okay, I was an activist. Set yourself a goal of, for example, let's say, you love Nina as a candidate. You say, my friends around the country should find out about her. And then you'd set yourself a goal of saying, you know what, I'm going to get Nina 5 to 10 volunteers who will phone bank and text bank for her, and $400. Like set some goal for yourself like that. And then what will happen is you do the Facebook post and very little will happen like after you do the Facebook post. So then you have to start going that extra mile and say, okay, which of my friends would be interested in Nina? How do I reach out to them? So you end up DMing them, you end up texting them, you end up doing various things. And you'll find out how both easy and hard it is to actually activate people and get people to care and take action. And it's both easy and hard. So if you set yourself that kind of goal for Nina, or whomever you'd like, or whatever organization you're excited about in Connecticut or elsewhere, then the same actions apply when you develop further in your career. Just the numbers get bigger, or the people you call can do more. But if you can do that as a junior in college, you're going to become super powered, because it really is the same thing when you get out. Like someone like Don Sun, who's very important, that's all Don does. Don just reaches out to people and tries to get them to do things. So if you develop that set of muscles, then the sky's the limit. And everyone will thank the heck out of you, because whatever candidate or organization you support will just be thrilled to have you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Zarmeen. Our next question will be from our young Bangladeshi activist and volunteer speaking from Indiana and originally from Massachusetts, Ryan Manan.
Hey everyone, my name is Ryan Manan, and I'm originally from Boston, but I go to Indiana University studying finance right now. And this question's for Andrew. So earlier you had talked about the fight for data rights. So I was wondering, what kind of regulations or reforms do you think tech companies need to do to ensure our data security?
Ryan. I'm sure I'm not the only person here who's admiring your hair. It's it's a very, very well presented
Thank you. I appreciate it.
head of hair. California is taking a leadership role through Prop 24, and you know who's ahead of the entire country is Europe. They passed something called the GDPR. It's like the General Data Privacy Rights, and California is going to approximate those protections if Prop 24 passes. And then after that happens, every other state's going to look up and say, why do Californians have this and we don't? And it's going to spread around the country like wildfire. You ask what the tech companies can do or should do. We all know that the tech companies are unlikely to do anything meaningful unless they're forced to, because they're massive enterprises. They make a lot of money. And they're not going to take kindly to changes in practices that might impede their growth. So this is a consumer rights issue. It's common sense. It's a no-brainer. Where if I say to you, hey, the tech companies and the data brokers are making 200 billion plus a year from our data, don't you think that we should get a share of that, or there should be more controls over that? Most every American would be like, of course. It's one reason why Prop 24 has something like an 80% approval rating. This is before the tech companies decide to spend money to fight it, so who knows? We'll see what happens. But I'm very, very optimistic about it. And this is something that the rest of the world is ahead of us on. So the hope is that you have Europe #1, and then California catches up, and then it spreads around the country very quickly.
Great. Thanks for answering my question.
That's great to know. And Andrew, I am also in data and AI, so I couldn't agree more that we need to do a lot more. Europe is ahead, and California is also leading within the nation. And I hope this also spreads out in Massachusetts as well as across all these states. So kudos to you for taking the lead on that.
You know what else I'm just going to throw in there? I'm just going to throw something out there that also is taking root in Massachusetts and will spread like wildfire. Ranked choice voting. And that's going to help a lot of different candidates get a foothold. So I just want to throw that out there. Data property rights, ranked choice voting, both are spreading around the country.
Wow, really? That's very important. Ranked choice will support, a lot of minority or good candidate, I would say.
Check.
Excellent. Yep. Thank you. Our next question would be another young Bangladeshi activist from Arizona, Ryan Chaudhary. Ryan, take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ryan. I'm a high schooler currently in Arizona. My question for Andrew is, one of the slogans you ran on was not left, not right, forward. With the current hyper-partisan political climate right now, how can we work to depolarize politics?
Thanks, Ryan. Ranked choice voting would go a long way, I think, to helping unlock our politics, because right now 80% plus of congressional districts around the country are either clean blue or clean red. So if you are in one of those districts, you're more concerned about having a primary challenger than having to win the general. That's why we were joking with Jack just now about what was going to happen where he was, where he is, the Dems going to win. You have that situation in 80% of the country. So ideally you would have redistricting, so it's not as gerrymandered. Where you are in Arizona is becoming progressively purple, so it would be an ideal place to try and draw the district lines in a more fair way. And then if you had ranked choice voting, then there wouldn't be this same set of incentives not to compromise. But the polarization right now is being driven in part by the media and social media, because we're getting different sets of news, different sets of facts. If you go on Facebook, you'll see completely different things than someone who's in Alabama. And that's going to make it very, very hard for us to come together. So I think that there's going to be a real pressing need for political reform that, frankly, both parties need to try and embrace, things like campaign finance reform in the form of democracy dollars or otherwise, ranked choice voting, redistricting, like a bunch of reforms in that area. And then something around media reform where these companies and the tech companies don't make more money by turning us against each other, because right now their business models actually benefit the more angry we get at each other. Yeah, and that's good for them, bad for us.
Great. Thank you. And our last question from another Bangladeshi activist who's actually heading for law school, Lubaba Ahmed.
Hi, my question is also for you, Andrew, but before I go on, I just want to say to Miss Nina Ahmad, as a young Bangladeshi American woman, you're an inspiration. So thank you for doing what you're doing and hopefully paving the way for the rest of us. But for you, Andrew, I just finished teaching preschool as a Teach for America Corps member in New York, where Mayor de Blasio implemented the universal pre-K system. So the burden has been alleviated a lot from families for finding good childcare. And so I know that you support universal preschool, and I was wondering what other sort of ways do you think that we can improve education in this country and make it more accessible?
Well, congrats to you for doing Teach for America. I'm a huge admirer of the organization and of the people that serve. And I guess fun starting law school thereafter. You're on your way. You're going to be in Nina's chair in no time on one of these calls running for office. Education is such a key driver of our country's success that we're falling behind on, honestly. And you've seen it. You've experienced it. I love universal pre-K. The fact is, I think we should start even sooner. I'm a parent. I've got a 7 and a 5-year-old, and the data shows that what happens between 0 and 3 is actually key to the kids' development. The number of words they get read. I'm sure even for you, when you saw your pre-K students, some of them were even kind of ahead of the others, and you were like, like that. That's, I mean, it's a tough truth. So we should try to put more resources into the home, into the family, really from day one or day 0. And right now, 40% of American children are born to unmarried moms. So these are people in environments that have some adversity and stress baked in. And there are many kids who aren't coming to school with the proper nutrition or stress levels that are going to be able to learn in a real way. 2/3 of our kids' educational progress is determined outside of the school. So there are things we should do inside the school. I think we should pay teachers like you more. I think we need to do what we can to actually try and reward and retain good teachers in the classroom, because the attrition rate for good teachers, unfortunately, is higher than it should be. But I also think we should just invest in neighborhoods, in families, in the home, because of that 2/3 number that's determined outside of the school. One of the frustrations I think many of us feel, and as an educator you might feel this, is we're asking our teachers to be miracle workers, essentially. You know, it's like the kids showing up and you're like, I can control about 1/3 of their outcome. And you expect me to just, transform what's going on. Even if you do incredible work, you know that some of these kids are going to fall behind. So we need to dig deeper, and we need to start earlier. I think universal pre-K is a great idea, but I actually think you need to start earlier than that.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you. I need it.
Great. Thank you, Andrew, and everyone for a wonderful discussion. We now move to second part of the event where we meet our API leaders. I would request Assembly Member Evan Lau to facilitate this session. Evan?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. Well, just a dialogue amongst ourselves to best figure out what we need to do to help empower and get the next generation going. There is oftentimes this conversation about, for the Asian Pacific Islander community, where is our Jesse Jackson? What national organization is the premier organization that will be on the forefront to ensure that when a situation happens to, let's say, a presidential candidate in which there's not adequate airtime, where do we make sure that there are the mechanisms for us to engage and has the infrastructure in place to demand of the major networks that say, why are we not getting equal airtime? Why is it that our faces are disjointed and distorted in other places? Where's the type of accountability to ensure that we are adequately represented? Where is it such that when there is a rollout of the vice presidential candidate, that of Kamala Harris, that many of the talking points reference to her as being historic in nature, as being a woman and as being African-American, but leaves out the notion of her roots from the Asian Pacific Islander community. This is something that we've seen in the mainstream society. So what can we do to help encourage some of that? And I know that we have some of our elected officials who are on this call, or this Zoom, and I want to ask them, and specifically a number of trustees, Mike Fong from Los Angeles Community College, or Sue Chan or Susanna. We see Alex Lee, again, as we mentioned, from the state legislature. But what can we be doing collectively, and what type of infrastructure could be in place? Because I oftentimes talk about, we don't all need to run for office. We don't need to do that. But could we also do what we can to be monthly contributors to Humanity Forward and doing our part so that the infrastructure is in place? Because the reality is this, with term limits and otherwise, people like Andrew, myself, will come and go. But if we leave a lasting impact with infrastructure, that'll be transformative. So I see that there's a conversation with respect to some of the other individuals. And so maybe I'll open it up to some of our AAPI candidates and elected officials to provide some dialogue with the benefit of having Humanity Forward and Andrew Yang on this call as well, which is to lead us off. What is the role that, what might be missing? What's the void with respect to the community and organizing? And imagine if we did have our Jesse Jackson, imagine if we had institutional power and organizations to advance our community on social justice. Where would we be? Where would we be in the United States? So having said that, maybe we could just go to the first question that I see here, which is for the Asian American candidates and politicians. How important is it to cater to the mindfulness to the needs of the Asian Pacific Islander community versus that of the mainstream? Which is to say that sometimes there might be conflicts, or that might be conflicting with respect to having a platform for your own community and also making sure that you are representing the community at large. So maybe we can start with Andrew, and then maybe some of the other elected officials on this call.
I can't wait to meet the elected officials on this call. I love meeting API electeds. Like, I don't know if I know all of them. I mean, I clearly don't know all of them yet. I mean, you know, so I'm always eager to meet anyone I haven't met. No, I think it just depends upon the individual, what they genuinely focus on and care about, and their constituents. So in my case, I ran for president, and I care deeply about my Asian American heritage, but I was running on issues that I think affect Americans of any background. You know, the economic transformation I thought was going to be very negative for Asian Americans in a particular way. That was somewhat different than the way it would affect like blue collar workers in the Midwest, or African Americans, or so the impacts were going to be different. And the issues I thought were relatively universal, but that would be just my situation running a national campaign. If you're running for office locally, it could be a very, very different emphasis. And it really is just dependent upon who you are, what you care about, what you value, and the problems that you see in your community that you think your constituents want to solve.
Yeah, that's great, Andrew. But I'm sure similarly, we get this all the time. We heard when Barack Obama was running that he wasn't Black enough, or that someone doesn't embody that specific community. What did you do to counter that conversation about, well, you're not Asian enough? Did you get that? And of course, then the flip side is that people think you're a perpetual foreigner.
No, I think that I seemed like a certain type of familiar figure to a lot of folks, like you know, like the Asian American kid they grew up with in their town who was sort of studious. At least that's what I imagined that I came across as. I did not often get the, you know, you're not Asian enough, in part because I was running in some very frankly predominantly white states in New Hampshire and Iowa for the early going. And my hope was that, and it seems to have happened, that having an Asian American in the presidential race would be very positive for our community, and that folks would get excited by virtue of my performing at a certain level or doing well. But again, that situation is probably somewhat different for me than it would be for a local candidate. And I think that Asian Americans get it, honestly, Evan. I think that Asian Americans get it when someone is out there making a particular kind of case, that, you know, that we have different interests to serve, and like different in different parts of a campaign. And I don't think that I don't think that we're ignorant as to the pressures that different candidates face.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your experiences. I'm going to call on Hung Wei and Mike Fong, but to sort of transition, Andrew, I mentioned Hung because she has served as a distinguished school board member representing Silicon Valley and specifically the city of Cupertino. She's a candidate for Cupertino City Council right now, of course, home to Apple. But that population in the city of Cupertino consists of majority Asian Pacific Islander. And yet over the history of time here back at home, there has been this notion of the white flight, which was a significant division among sharing power and that of the perception towards Asian Pacific Islanders that we should have businesses in English. And there was some significant racial tension, but which leads us to a more inclusive community here today, much larger part of the work that Hung does too. But Hung, do you have anything specifically to add with respect to the representation of identity as an Asian Pacific American running for office, representing all people?
Yes, I always have this notion that Asian Americans choose to live in the US because this is a democratic and free country. We want to be part of the society, but we also want to keep our culture, our influence. So Silicon Valley, I guess, is the optimal example of it. We have a lot of Asian Americans and they have great education. They come here to chase for freedom and democracy, but they also bring their own baggages. And I have to say, we Asian Americans actually are not as united as we've seen from the outside. There are a lot of Asian American discourse in Cupertino right now. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be the person to bring everyone together, to have a common goal. And if you look at today's San Jose Mercury, it was not a, San Jose Mercury did endorse me, but the article really gave my heart almost broken because it says Cupertino is a city that's, it's really not a representative of the US. And I really would like to say, we Asian Americans, we represent a big part of Silicon Valley, and we need to be part of the Silicon Valley. We need to be the solution of Silicon Valley, of housing crisis, of transportation, of education. So let's be part of the solution instead of being divided and feel that we're not part of the solution. So my goal in Cupertino is to bring our Asian Americans together with our home country, which is the United States of America, and make sure that we are one together to move things forward in a direction that's inclusive of Asian Americans and inclusive of Caucasians and everywhere. It's not just ethnics, but also women, encourage women, encourage girls in tech. So that is my goal as a city council. It's a city council, but because, like Evan said, I'm 11 years of school board. Education is kind of deep rooted in me. So I would like to sit our city in collaboration with our public agencies, education systems, and we educate not just our kids, but the whole citizens together.
Evan,
thank you, Hung.
Can I just say goodbye? I'm sorry. I have to leave to another meeting. Don't want to interrupt, but I just wanted to say thank you to all of you. So look for the Auditor General who not just make sure tax dollars are used with integrity, but with accountability, transparency, and equitably. So I will end there, and thanks everyone for having me today.
Yay, Nina, go get them. Yeah,
thank you, Nina.
Thank you, Nina. Some
Yep.
voters. Everyone
Go,
help
Nina.
Nina. Let's make sure she wins. That would be a massive win.
Did you put your link in, Nina, for us to
Yes,
follow
I
you
did
as well?
up top.
Great.
I did up top.
Great.
So
Great.
Evan, can I say something real quick? Because I need to drop off and to attend another meeting real quick.
Yes, please introduce yourselves. 15 seconds, please.
All right, Yan Zhao, council member, City of Saratoga. So as most of you know, that Saratoga actually has a huge, well, not huge population of Chinese American or Asian American, but as elected official, of course, we are, support our constituents of all the citizens in our city. But as a Chinese American, I'm of course want to be the voice for our community. So we did do some special things for our Chinese American community, like our city's newsletter now also has a version in Chinese, and the complicated version of Chinese. So I think we are who we are. We do care about our heritage, and we are proud to be Asian American and serving this country. So I just want to say that, and I have to drop off to attend another meeting now. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's really important for us to see strong AAPI women in public elected office. And the reason in particular I mentioned that is the California state legislature, of the Democratic members, we have close to 13 members, historic numbers of Asian Pacific Islanders in the California state legislature. None of them are women. We're working to change that and rectify that in partnering. So we want to make sure that we have a wide bench to be able to invest in that future. I know we're limited on time, but I want to get some feedback also from Mike Fong, who's a community college trustee from the Los Angeles Community College Board of Trustees. Of course, the area of jurisdiction is larger than, let's say, the state of Montana altogether. And being that of community college, Asian Americans focus so much on valuing higher education. And so there's a stigma with respect to community colleges. But Mike, do you have some good perspectives on your role in the community college system?
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Lowe, and thank you, Andrew, and to the Bangladeshi American community, and to Don Sun, and to Humanity for organizing this powerful event here today. It's a power of networking. Assemblymember Evan Lowe, I met him back when he was 22, 23 years old, when he was running for the Campbell City Council, and I was involved with the Democratic Party and the API caucus. So, this network that we have here today virtually is a powerful network. I encourage Don, I think Don has everyone's contact email, but to have everyone stay in touch. And as Assemblymember Evan Lowe stated, I'm very honored and privileged to serve as a trustee for the Los Angeles Community College District. My parents actually met in the community college. They met at LA City College in the heart of Hollywood, and I wouldn't be here today if they hadn't met there. And our community colleges, we serve 250,000, 300,000 students in the greater Los Angeles area. And about 10% of them are Asian American, Asian Pacific Islander American. And for the Bangladeshi American community, that's right near Koreatown and right in the heart of Hollywood, we have a little Bangladesh community. And as a chair of the Asian Pacific Islander Affairs Council for the Community College District with our chancellor, we try to bring all voices from the API community at the community college level. And I know there's a certain stigma at times. Some people say, hey, community college is not a four-year university. But sometimes it's actually easier to transfer to a University of California campus or a CSU campus when you go through a community college in Los Angeles. We have the articulation agreements with UCLA, with UC Irvine, with all the different public universities here, UC Berkeley as well. But also, as Assemblymember Lowe said, and a number of Andrew Yang said, a lot of folks have said, we have to be coalition builders as well. Everyone, by just seeing your name, they're gonna know you're Asian American, that you're Bangladeshi American, you're Chinese American. So by that, and we're all proud of our respective heritage and proud to support the API community, but we also have to serve all communities. And so really building out the bridges with the Latino community, African American community, the LGBTQ community, and every community in Los Angeles and throughout the regions that you serve. It's building those coalitions. In Los Angeles, it's a multi-ethnic city, and so very honored to have worked in the city for many years and building out coalitions and the deep relationships that we have. And to people like Don Sun, who's involved with Asian Americans for Good Government, Andrew Yang, who I met in New York City a couple of years ago when he said he was going to run for president. Someone, Evan Lowe, when I met him many years ago. He's still very young, but I met him many years ago when he was just getting started. And all the folks that are here today, anything that I can do to help build bridges in Los Angeles or Southern California, please reach out. Don and Evan have my contact information, and anything that we can do together to build the infrastructure, as Assemblymember Evan Lowe said. We want to build that infrastructure, not just in California, not just across our respective communities, but across this country. So thank you, Assemblymember Lowe, for bringing this forward, and anything I can do to partner with you and Andrew and Don, please let me know. Thank you.
Yeah, we certainly, there's the power of convening. And so we're so grateful to Humanity for Don Sun and Andrew for bringing us together. I also want to be respectful of our time, but I see that Mason Honda has a question, perhaps, if I put him on the spot. But Mason, do you have a question? You want to unmute yourself and ask a question if you are ready? There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was just actually typing it in the chat, but yeah, I can say it out loud. Hello. Yeah, so recently one of my AP government teachers from high school, Coach Hazel, actually gave us an Andrew Yang assignment in which he gave us a hypothetical $1,000 as a universal basic income. But some students were, of course, lost at first. And sometimes for high school and college students, we're told to invest our money, but we're not sure exactly what that means. What kind of guidance would you give young people who want to start off square one and not sure where to start from then?
Andrew, do you want to take that?
Is this a question specifically about how I would advise the high school age person to use $1,000?
Or maybe how we can the financial and tech literacy, maybe not, of course, not exactly how to spend it, but more education and how you can do it given if universal basic income is implemented.
I think that I think Andrew's first question, that's more
I love
fun.
This question, it's really important. I think we should teach financial literacy in high schools 100%. And I studied economics in college, and I still did not understand financial literacy until sometime thereafter. It is very, very hard to learn financial literacy before you have money.
I'm here. I'm licensed.
Yeah, so we need to teach financial literacy, and then we need to put. I like what your teacher is doing. It's like I think putting like imaginary money in a young person's hands is a nice first step, but then you need to put real money in their hands for them to actually learn. Because as soon as you actually have real money in your hands, then you have to make a decision as to what to do with it, and you figure out, okay, there's savings, but can I do something better than that? And like, you know, you have to get comfortable with that. That happened to me in my mid-20s, but if we could activate people in their teens, and in my ideal world, if they had a universal basic income, then we could be teaching them how to make use of it in high school, and then they start getting it upon graduation, and then it's off to the races. That to me is the vision of our kids' future that we should be fighting for. But financial literacy is a huge part of the puzzle, and even if you didn't have universal basic income, we should be teaching financial literacy.
Yeah, maybe Don will say that. I mean, seminar I can teach. I'm a licensed investment advisor.
Yeah, Jack, you can teach, sure, in your local school. You'd have tons of people who'd want to teach the kids about the money.
Yeah, I'm a Transamerica licensed investment advisor.
I don't want to be respectful of everyone's time, but Andrew, what would your advice be on the first part of it, in which you said, yeah, what would the advice you give for a student spending $1,000? That's a more fun answer to hear from you.
I think I'd tell them take a tiny bit and spend it on whatever the heck you want. Let's call it like 50 or $100 and just, you know, buy that game you wanted. Doesn't matter. And then take the rest of it and put it in a savings account. But a savings account right now yields next to nothing. So then you should try and get a little bit more ambitious and maybe get a CD, which might give you 1 or 2%. And then even that's pretty lame. So then I would say, because you're young and you have a high time horizon, then you should try and actually pick a company you interact with and buy the stock, and then keep track of it over time. And if you did that, then you'd actually learn a lot just by holding $900 in Apple stock or Google stock or whatever stock you buy.
I would actually say Andrew, recently, oh, sorry. I would just say real quick, recently, I would say that some people have been learning from TikTok. I just want to put that out there that for young people, yeah, TikTok has been a good resource for financial literacy in an unexpected way, but in a digital way and accessible.
It makes sense. If you want to reach kids, you got to reach them where they are.
But, you know, Andrew, you talked about ROI, return on investment. I think the best return on investment is investing in humanity forward. I don't know about you, but that's the best ROI there could be.
The first thing is to invest in yourself, and then after that, humanity forward.
That said, I'll turn it back over to Don, but to Andrew and our AAPI elected officials, know that we do have our Facebook group to which we can stay connected and informed about the things that we're working on, and let's continue to support each other where possible. So thanks again. I'll turn it back over to Don.
Okay, thank you, Evan. Thank you, Shashido Menon, and thank you, Andrew, the 2 years boss, and thank you, Evan. And we're neighbor and talk every day, but every time you talk, I enjoy it. Okay, and I say all my good friend, old friend, Hong Wei, Mike Fang, all people around here is so excited to see everyone here. And I think it's the network, it's the fundamental infrastructure. Let's working together to build this infrastructure. I have like 1,000 elected official API in the nation already. And we just try to get people connected. And thank you, everyone. Thank you. And I think it's the next month, we're going to have a similar event, but probably we're going to concentrate on the tech. So Andrew, prepare for the operation for.
Thank you all so much. Let's get out there and support these elected officials and the people that are running. Not every day is created equal. It is mid-September 2020. Every day between now and November 3rd is crucial. So do something every single day. If you haven't filled out the census, get everyone to fill out the census. You still got 2 more weeks on that. But then let's fight for it. Let's actually see to it that people like Nina and Alex win their races so that we can have something to celebrate. Not every day is created equal. Everything we do between now and November 3rd is enormous. And if you're going to rest, you can rest sometime after November 3rd. But let's get out. Let's work. We're Asians, are we not? Do we not like to work hard? Let's work hard between now and November 3rd.
Yeah.
Thank you all so
That's
much.
great.
Appreciate the heck out of you.
Thank
Shahid,
you. So with that note,
congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, with that note, I think we'll close for today. And thanks, Andrew, Evan, Don, and everyone for joining. We have just 2 messages. One is join the API leadership and as well as the Bangladeshi Americans for Biden-Harris page. We'll be sending you the links. And that's it for tonight. Thank you all for joining. Bye.
Thank you. Make America think again.
Let's go get them.
Make America think again.
Make America think harder. That's right. Let's do it. We're the people to do just that. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, Jack, go, please stay there. Jack, you can stay there, okay? Who asked question?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I had a question for Andrew, actually. I was wondering what his position is on free education, university education. So like if he's still there, I would like to know what his position on affordable university.
Yeah, I think it's, he left already, but you can email me and put your question there, and I'll try to get him, okay?
Okay, and also I had another thing. I don't know if he's directly connected with the Biden campaign or not, because I've been volunteering as a texting person. So I've been texting a lot of people, and I've been getting messages back from Floridians saying that they're getting a lot of misinformation, propaganda, propaganda text and emails and on Facebook. So they're worried that a lot of Democrats that could turn them away from Biden-Harris. So is the Biden-Harris campaign doing anything in Florida to fight those disinformation from them?
That one is we do have a connection with Biden's campaign team, but in terms of